This is Meet Sean, where we break down real life topics insurance, annuities, real estate, travel planning, and home ownership so you can make smarter moves. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
It's probably one of the most common dilemmas you'll see in the entire world of real estate. I mean, you look around your local market, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you see certain property experts building these massive, incredibly resilient portfolios. They just seem to weather every single economic storm almost effortlessly.
Like they know something the rest of us don't.
Exactly. And then you watch others who just completely burn out the second the market shifts. Like the wind changes direction, they hit a wall, and everything they've spent years building just comes crumbling down.
It's brutal to watch, honestly.
It really is. Well, welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tearing down the exact playbook of Tampa-based real estate expert Sean Carter, specifically looking at his strategies for the 2026 market to find out what actually separates the empires from the ashes.
Yeah, it's a fantastic stack of sources we're looking at today.
It is. We're extracting a complete actionable blueprint on how you can build a portfolio through strategic partnerships, modern lead generation, and total financial advocacy.
Which really is the defining question for anyone looking to build long-term wealth right now. Because, the landscape has fundamentally shifted.
Right.
The old playbooks, the ones that relied purely on low interest rates and just, endless appreciation, they just aren't cutting it anymore. You need a modern architecture for your business.
And that is our mission today. We are going to map out how you transform from a standard salesperson into a highly indispensable financial advocate for your clients.
A crucial shift.
Definitely. But before we get into the heavy-hitting tech strategies or the networking, we have to figure out where this journey actually begins. Because looking at this blueprint from Sean Carter LLC, it definitely does not start with a flashy sales pitch or a viral video.
No, it starts internally. It starts with deep financial literacy. The core argument here is that before you can generate a single viable lead,
right,
and certainly before you can attract a high net worth strategic partner, you have to possess a core offering of immense value. And in 2026, that value isn't just knowing the local zip codes.
Yeah, anyone can look up a zip code.
Exactly. It's deep, technical, financial knowledge. You have to understand the underlying mechanics of the money.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because treating a real estate agent just like a property tour guide, someone who just unlocks the front door, points out the nice crown molding, and hands over a glossy brochure.
The classic tour guide approach, yeah.
Right. It's like going to a doctor who only points at your x-rays but refuses to explain what the cloudy spots mean.
Or how to fix the broken bone. That analogy perfectly captures the shift, actually.
Right.
A tour guide points things out, but an advocate diagnoses and prescribes.
But wait, I have to push back a little here.
Okay.
Isn't the complex math, like the interest rates, the amortization schedules, the intricate mortgage structures, isn't that strictly the lender's job? Why does the real estate professional need to be so far in the weeds with all that technical financing data?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes clear why separating those duties is incredibly dangerous in today's environment. The advocate approach is what separates top-tier investors from the rest of the pack.
Okay, how so?
If you leave all the financial mechanics solely to the lender, you are actively failing to protect your client's financial health. You aren't advocating for their longevity. You're just facilitating a single transaction and then, walking away.
Right. And if that transaction blows up in their face 2 years later because they were over-leveraged, they're definitely never doing business with you again.
Exactly. You lose the client forever.
So to be a true advocate, you really have to know the technical side of commercial financing to guide them safely. Let's break down some of these specific metrics from the sources.
Yeah, you really have to master the foundational acronyms, specifically LTV and DSCR.
Loan-to-value and debt service coverage ratio.
Right. So LTV is simply a measure of how much debt is on the property compared to its actual market worth. Say a client buys a $2 million building with a $1 million loan, their LTV is 50%.
Seems pretty straightforward.
It is, until the market shifts. An advocate knows that if the local market dips and that building's value drops to $1.2 million, suddenly that LTV spikes to over 80%.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And lenders panic when that happens. Refinancing becomes impossible and the client is trapped.
And then there's DSCR, right? That's essentially the property's heartbeat.
Exactly. It measures how well a property's operational income covers its underlying debt payments. Let's say a commercial property generates $10,000 a month in net operating income, and the mortgage payment is $8,000.
So the property covers its debt with a little room to breathe.
Right, your DSCR is stable. But what happens in a rising rate environment?
The cost of borrowing goes up, so when that variable rate adjusts or they go to refinance, that $8,000 monthly payment jumps to, say, $9,500.
And suddenly, your DSCR plummets. Lenders pull back on terms, and the property's overall valuation takes a massive hit.
Yikes.
Yeah, in a high-rate environment, a financial advocate understands that the overarching strategy for their clients must shift. You have to move from aggressive, highly leveraged growth to conservative cash flow.
So you can't just tell a client, oh, the foot traffic here is great, you should totally buy it.
No, not at all. You have to physically show them the math of how that building survives a potential 2% rate hike.
Because if that payment jumps to $9,500, the investor is suddenly pulling from their own personal savings just to keep the lights on.
Exactly.
You are essentially building a mathematical moat around their investment. And part of building that moat is knowing that traditional bank loans aren't the only weapon in the arsenal.
Yeah, knowing the alternatives is how you save deals that would otherwise just fall apart while simultaneously protecting the client's working capital.
Like the SBA loans, right?
Exactly. Take the Small Business Administration loans. You have the 7A program, which is highly flexible and great for working capital or buying a business outright.
Right.
And then you have the 504 program, which is specifically designed for major fixed assets like real estate. These offer much lower down payments and longer terms than your conventional commercial loans.
But there is a massive catch with SBA real estate loans. I mean, it's government-backed, so...
There is a catch. To qualify, the business must occupy at least 51% of the property.
51%. So a client can't just use a low down payment loan to buy a massive strip mall, stick their tiny accounting firm in a corner unit, and then rent the rest of the plaza out to completely different businesses.
Right. They can't just get rich off the favorable terms like that. The SBA programs are designed to stimulate active small businesses, not to subsidize passive landlords.
That makes sense.
But if you have a client like, say, a local dentist or a logistics company who wants to stop paying rent and actually own their facility, guiding them to a 504 loan preserves their daily operational capital.
That's a huge value add. And the sources also mention lease-to-own agreements.
Yeah, those are a fantastic tool for capital preservation and market testing. It allows a client to build equity gradually, bypassing the strict credit hurdles of a traditional commercial loan while they stabilize their business.
And if speed is the ultimate factor, like if they're acquiring a distressed asset, there's hard money lending. Asset-based, super fast approval, but the interest rates are punishing.
They are. It's purely bridge financing. The secret to successful short-term borrowing isn't just convincing someone to give you the money.
Right. Getting the money is the easy part.
It is. The real secret is having a rock-solid exit strategy. An advocate refuses to let their client take on hard money without mapping out exactly how they will refinance out of it once the property is stabilized or renovated. You literally work backward from the exit.
Okay, so the takeaway for you listening is really foundational here. By mastering these mechanics, LTV, DSCR, SBA guidelines, hard money exits, you don't just sell, you protect.
You become an indispensable advisor.
Exactly. But understanding the math only protects the clients you already have. It doesn't magically put new ones in front of you.
No, it doesn't.
So how does an agent actually broadcast this financial expertise without sounding like a walking spreadsheet?
Well, you have to build an ecosystem.
Yeah.
You are moving from accumulating knowledge to aggressively broadcasting it.
And the duality of the modern broadcast strategy is hilarious to me. On one hand, the sources talk about deploying this hyper-modern automated tech, and on the other hand, it's heavily reliant on old-school analog handshakes.
It is a funny contrast.
So like deploying a futuristic AI drone to guard your front door, but still walking across the street to bake a pie for the neighbors.
I love that. But honestly, that duality is the only thing that actually cuts through the noise in 2026. You need a frictionless synergy between digital tools and deep community roots.
So let's talk about the digital front door first. The tech stack is robust, but it's not just about setting up a generic website.
No.
It's about hyper-local, intent-driven digital infrastructure.
We are talking about deploying AI chatbots that provide 247 customer engagement on your site. But they aren't just answering FAQs.
Right, they're not just saying what your hours are.
Exactly. They are actively qualifying leads, asking about budget constraints and timelines while you sleep. We're also looking at highly targeted Facebook and social media ads based not just on location, but on specific life stages or business growth metrics.
That's incredibly specific.
And crucially, localized SEO. You aren't trying to rank for a broad term like commercial real estate. You want to dominate the search terms for something like medical office space financing in downtown Tampa.
But all that tech, as efficient as it is, really just feeds into the human element, doesn't it? Because the texts make a very stark distinction between volume-based sales and community-centric growth.
Yeah, volume-based sales is basically a race to the bottom. It's churning through thousands of cold digital leads, just hoping one converts. Community-centric growth is entirely different. It's about shifting from being a passive observer in your local market to an active, visible leader.
Which means stepping away from the keyboard.
Absolutely.
It means participating in the local chamber of commerce. It means volunteering. It means aggressively pursuing seats on local nonprofit boards.
And why a nonprofit board? Because that level of involvement demonstrates a genuine, tangible passion for community improvement.
Right.
It builds an authentic brand authority that an algorithm simply cannot replicate. Think about it. When you sit on a nonprofit board, you are literally sitting next to other business leaders, regional lawyers, prominent accountants.
These are the heavy hitters.
Exactly. People who not only buy and sell commercial real estate themselves, but who advise dozens of other high net worth individuals on doing so.
So you are basically infiltrating the decision-making ecosystem. It's the ultimate warm lead.
It really is.
Which actually explains why traditional methods like open houses are still so heavily defended in these sources. I'll admit, I always thought open houses were basically just an excuse for nosy neighbors to come judge your kitchen renovations.
Oh, they absolutely attract the nosy neighbors. There's no getting around that.
Right.
But they still yield incredibly high-quality leads because of the mechanism of face-to-face trust building. When you talk to someone in person at a property, you can read their body language. You can uncover their unique business challenges through natural conversation.
You can instantly demonstrate that financial advocacy we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Digital tools get a person to the front door. You still have to bake the pie and look them in the eye to close the gap.
Okay, so let's say you've got the financial knowledge to protect clients, and you've got this hybrid ecosystem of AI chatbots and Chamber of Commerce networking generating solid leads.
You're doing great.
That is fantastic for immediate transactional cash flow. But generating individual leads isn't how you build an actual portfolio.
No, it's not.
Creating scalable, resilient wealth requires transitioning from hunting individual buyers to forming strategic business alliances.
It requires immense scale. And to scale beyond your own personal bandwidth, you simply have to leverage partnerships.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the strategy heavily emphasizes the power of strategic private partnerships and pooling capital. But I have to ask about the inherent risk here.
Sure.
Sharing profits sounds amazing on paper until the roof caves in and everyone starts pointing fingers. Like, if modern real estate crowdfunding allows you to invest passively with way less money and gives you instant diversification across multiple massive properties,
Right.
why on earth would you bother dealing with the headaches of a one-on-one private partnership?
Well, what's fascinating here is how clearly the trade-offs of crowdfunding versus direct partnerships play out in a volatile market.
Right.
You are totally right. Crowdfunding offers amazing accessibility and diversification.
It's so easy.
It is. And it is completely passive. You don't worry about vetting tenants, fixing leaky roofs, or managing contractors.
It sounds like an investor's dream scenario, honestly.
And it does, until you realize the sheer amount of autonomy you surrender. The two massive drawbacks to crowdfunding are limited operational control and severe liquidity constraints.
Oh, right.
You have zero say in how the property is managed, when it is ultimately sold, or how the debt is structured. If the platform decides to do a massive capital call for renovations, you just have to eat it.
Wow.
And worse, your money might be locked up in that fund for 5 to 7 years with absolutely no way to access it, even if your own personal business desperately needs that capital.
So you are entirely at the mercy of the platform's fund managers.
Direct private partnerships, on the other hand, allow you to pool resources and scale rapidly while maintaining your hand firmly on the steering wheel. You can take down much larger commercial projects than you could alone, but you retain operational control.
Quick pause. Got a question you want covered on an upcoming episode? Use the Send Us a Text link in the show notes and tell me what you're dealing with. I read them and I pulled topics straight from your messages.
But you can't just go to the local country club, find someone with a fat wallet, and shake hands. There are incredibly strict rules in the text for structuring these private partnerships to avoid those exact headaches I mentioned.
Oh, absolutely. The absolute bedrock of a partnership is finding someone with an aligned, long-term vision and a matching risk tolerance. It's not just about who has the capital. It's about who shares your fundamental philosophy. If you're focused on conservative cash flow and holding for 10 years, and your partner wants to aggressively leverage the asset, renovate, and flip it in 18 months,
That partnership will implode.
it's guaranteed to fail.
And once you find that philosophical match, you have to get it meticulously in writing. The sources talk about needing solid operating agreements that define exact roles and responsibilities. Like, who is actually managing the contractors on site?
Exactly.
Who is handling the daily accounting and tax prep?
And crucially, creating hyper-transparent profit-sharing models.
Yeah.
Ambiguity is the enemy of a successful partnership.
Yes, definitely.
If everyone knows exactly how decisions are made, how capital calls are handled, and how profits are distributed from day one, you prevent disastrous legal disputes down the line.
But it's vital to point out that the concept of partnerships here goes way beyond just pooling money to buy a building. The strategy applies this partner share model to local lead generation as well, creating this, mutually beneficial referral ecosystem.
This is a brilliant, low-cost strategy for scaling your brand. It means deliberately collaborating with complementary local professionals.
Like commercial lenders, interior designers.
Yes, commercial property inspectors, other specialized agents, and even local social media influencers.
Wait, influencers? Like local TikTokers doing real estate?
In a hyper-localized context, absolutely. Think about partnering with a highly followed local business or food blogger to highlight a new commercial development you are leasing.
Oh, I see.
Or teaming up with a community news page. Partnering with them amplifies your authority incredibly fast. But the core mechanism is that by aligning with trusted local professionals, you effectively share their credibility.
That makes total sense.
When a highly respected local commercial lender tells their client, hey, you need to work with this specific agent, they truly understand DSCR and SBA loans, that lead comes to you with the trust already pre-installed.
It basically bypasses the entire digital advertising funnel we talked about earlier.
It does.
It's an invisible web of professional trust, which leads perfectly into the final and arguably most important piece of the puzzle. You have the deep financial knowledge, you have the digital and community leads, you have the strategic partners.
Right.
How do you ensure the well never runs dry? How do you turn a good year into a lifetime strategy?
By fundamentally understanding that today's closed transaction is tomorrow's referral engine.
And looking at the exact blueprint for follow-ups in the sources, it's brilliant. It's like maintaining a classic car. You can't just change the oil the day you drive it off the lot and expect it to run perfectly 10 years later.
No, it requires a systematized, deliberate maintenance schedule.
Yeah.
You need a system to maintain the relationship.
Right.
There's a quote in the material that serves as the thesis statement for this entire long-term strategy. It says, "The currency of real estate is trust. And there is no faster way to earn it than through a personal recommendation from someone who has already experienced your value."
The currency of real estate is trust. That is powerful.
It really is.
But trust is highly perishable. It degrades over time if you ignore it. A client might love you at the closing table, but 3 years later, they can't even remember your last name. So how do we systematically maintain it?
Through a highly specific, psychologically balanced follow-up cadence. It is not left to chance.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not just calling to check in whenever you have a slow afternoon.
Right. Let's break down the psychology of that cadence for the listener.
Okay, so first, you utilize daily or weekly social media updates. This is low-friction brand awareness. You aren't aggressively selling, you're just staying visible, sharing quick local market insights or zoning news.
Just keeping yourself in their peripheral vision.
Exactly. Next is the bi-weekly CRM automated emails. This is for consistent lead nurturing. You send highly relevant property updates or financial articles, and it's all triggered automatically by your customer relationship management software.
Nice.
The psychology here is about cognitive load. The AI handles the heavy lifting of keeping you positioned as an authority in their subconscious.
Which perfectly sets up the next step, because the AI is doing all the background work. When the human touch finally returns, it hits differently.
Exactly. That brings us to the monthly personalized phone calls. Because you've been gently dripping valuable content to them automatically, when you make that personal call, you completely bypass their internal salesman defense mechanism.
Right, because you aren't calling to pitch a property.
No, you are calling to ask about their business growth, to see if they need an introduction to a local contractor,
Yeah.
just to offer tangible value.
I really see the progression here. You start broad and automated and get progressively more intimate. But where does the actual financial advocacy, all that technical stuff we started the show with, where does that come back into play post-sale?
It anchors the final step, quarterly market insight reports. This permanently locks in your expert positioning. Every quarter, you send them a deep data-driven analysis of their specific property's current valuation, local cap rate trends, and the broader economic landscape. You are actively acting as their financial advocate long after the commission check has cleared.
It's an incredible funnel of attention. And you can't just guess what's working, right? You use A/B testing on your email subject lines, you track key performance indicators like your open rates and your cost per lead.
Always be tracking.
But how does tracking an email open rate actually connect to the ultimate goal of building a massive portfolio?
Because that meticulous tracking and follow-up is what builds an absolute army of scouts for your buy and hold wealth strategy. When you maintain these relationships systematically, your past clients, your strategic partners, your community contacts, they become your eyes and ears.
They start bringing you lucrative off-market deals before they ever hit the public listing service.
Exactly. Because they trust you implicitly, they want to partner with you again, or they insist their friends do business with you.
That makes total sense.
And by continuously feeding that buy and hold portfolio through your proprietary network, you leverage real estate for its true long-term power. You use it as a tangible hedge against inflation and as a highly tax-advantaged asset class.
Where depreciation and expense deductions actively shield your growing wealth from the IRS.
Exactly. The follow-up cadence isn't just about securing another quick commission. It is the vital engine that continuously feeds your long-term empire.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this all together for you listening. We started today by asking why some investors build massive empires while others completely burn out when the market shifts.
And the blueprint we've extracted paints a very clear, actionable picture.
It really does. Real estate success in 2026 isn't about being the loudest, flashiest salesperson in the room. It is about being a highly educated financial advocate. It's about understanding the complex mechanics of debt, DSCR, and SBA loans so deeply that you become an indispensable protector of your client's wealth.
It's about being deeply, authentically rooted in your local community, taking on active leadership roles on nonprofit boards, while simultaneously leveraging AI chatbots and hyperlocal SEO to relentlessly scale your outreach.
And finally, it's about shifting your mindset from solitary individual transactions to strategic, well-structured partnerships. It's about rigorously maintaining your past relationships through a systematized cadence, ensuring that a single deal closed today blossoms into a lifetime of referrals and exclusive off-market opportunities tomorrow.
That is the blueprint for resilience.
It really is.
It is a profound operational shift. And, it leaves us with a really important, actionable perspective to consider right now. We've established that the ultimate currency of real estate is trust, and that strategic partnerships are the absolute fastest way to scale your portfolio. So consider this. Open your phone and look at your contacts right now. Scroll through them. Who is sitting in your network? Someone you've maybe only ever viewed as a friend from the gym, a vendor you use, or a casual acquaintance from a local charity event who actually holds the exact missing piece you need to start your real estate empire today.
Oh, that's good.
Whether it's liquid capital, local political influence, or a complementary technical skill. The partner you desperately need might already trust you. You just haven't presented them with the blueprint yet.
I love that. The resources to scale are probably already sitting in your pocket. You just have to activate them. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Hopefully you walk away today with a powerful new lens on how to build actual resilience, rather than burning out in whatever market comes next. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
That's it for today's Meet Sean. If this helped, follow the show and share this episode with one person who needs it. See you next time.